Welcome, peaceful wanderer, to another gentle journey with the sleeping wanderer. Tonight we're traveling together to the enchanting island of Santorini, where time moves slowly and every breath brings a deeper calm. There's no rush, no agenda, just a peaceful exploration of whitewashed villages perched on ancient cliffs, where the Aegean Sea stretches endlessly beneath a canvas of soft painted skies. Before we begin our restful adventure together, consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel, but only if you truly enjoy these sleepy travels, and drop a comment below, telling me which magical destination you want us to visit next. Now, close your eyes if you wish. Take a deep, peaceful breath and let yourself drift into the gentle embrace of a Santorini evening. The sun is beginning its slow descent toward the horizon, painting everything in the softest shades of gold and rose. You find yourself standing on a quiet terrace in Oya, the northernmost village of this crescent-shaped island. The day's warmth still lingers in the white stone beneath your feet, radiating a gentle, comforting heat. The island of Santorini, or Thera as the locals call it, floats like a dream in the southern Aegean Sea. This peaceful sanctuary was shaped by ancient volcanic forces thousands of years ago, creating the dramatic caldera that now cradles the deepest, most tranquil blues you've ever seen. But tonight we're not here for drama or excitement. We're here to wander slowly, peacefully, through narrow pathways where cats stretch lazily in doorways and bougainvillea drapes in purple cascades. The air carries the faintest hint of wild thyme and sea salt, mixing with the distant aroma of fresh bread from a hidden bakery somewhere below. Everything here moves at the pace of the Mediterranean itself, unhurried, timeless, infinitely peaceful. The famous blue-domed churches that dot the landscape stand like gentle guardians, their curves soft against the evening light. As you stand here, feeling the gentle breeze from the caldera brush against your skin, you notice how quiet everything becomes as evening approaches. The day visitors have begun their journey back to their hotels. The cruise ships in the distance look like tiny toys floating on a mirror of blue, and the village itself seems to exhale, settling into its most authentic, peaceful rhythm. Your journey tonight will be slow and meandering. We'll wander through ancient pathways carved from volcanic rock, pause in hidden corners where elderly Greek women tend to their geraniums, and discover the quiet stories this island whispers to those who take time to listen. There's nowhere you need to be, nothing you need to do. Just allow yourself to drift along these peaceful paths. You begin your gentle descent down the first of many marble steps, worn smooth by countless feet over countless years. Each step is painted white, with blue edges that echo the colors of the Greek flag. But more than that, they mirror the endless dialogue between sky and sea that defines this magical place. Your hand trails along the warm wall beside you, feeling the slightly rough texture of the whitewashed volcanic stone. The pathway curves gently to the right, and suddenly, you're embraced by the narrow streets of Oya village. The walls on either side of you create a cocoon of white, broken only by splashes of color. A blue door here, a terracotta pot overflowing with red geraniums there. The path is barely wide enough for two people to pass, creating an intimate, protected feeling. Above you, the sky is beginning its evening transformation. The bright blue of afternoon is softening, taking on hints of lavender at the edges. You can hear the distant sound of church bells not urgent or demanding, but slow and melodious. Counting out the evening hour in their ancient rhythm, the sound echoes gently off the curved walls, creating a natural amphitheater of peaceful sound. As you continue walking, you notice the unique architecture surrounding you. These cave houses, or iposkafa, as they're known locally, were carved directly into the volcanic cliff face. Their organic, flowing shapes seem to have grown from the earth itself. There are no harsh angles here. Everything curves and flows like frozen waves. The builders of old understood something profound about living in harmony with the landscape. A tabby cat appears from a shadowy doorway, stretching luxuriously before padding silently across your path. It pauses to look at you with calm, amber eyes, before disappearing into another mysterious alley. Cats are everywhere in Santorini, unofficial guardians of the peaceful streets. They seem to embody the island's relaxed spirit. You pass a small courtyard where an elderly man sits on a simple wooden chair. He's painting a piece of driftwood, his movements slow and deliberate. He glances up and offers you a gentle nod and a quiet kalispera. Good evening. The greeting floats in the air like a blessing. The pathway opens into a small plaza. In the center, a single olive tree provides shade during the day, though now it simply stands as a silent witness to the approaching night. Its gnarled trunk tells stories of decades, perhaps centuries, of peaceful evenings just like this one. The leaves rustle softly in the breeze, a whispered lullaby. You notice how the white buildings seem to glow in the evening light. This isn't just aesthetic choice. The white lime wash made from volcanic ash and lime has been used for generations. It keeps the buildings cool during hot summer days and creates this ethereal, dreamlike quality in the evening light. Everything seems to be lit from within. The sounds of daily life drift peacefully around you. Somewhere, a mother calls her children for dinner. The clink of glasses from a hidden taverna suggests the quiet gathering of friends. A musician practices a traditional song on a bouzouki, the notes floating lazily through the air. None of these sounds are jarring. They blend together into a gentle symphony of island life. As you continue your peaceful wandering, the ancient history of Santorini begins to reveal itself in the very stones beneath your feet. This island holds one of the most fascinating yet calming stories of human civilization. 3,500 years ago, this was a different place entirely. A round island called the Strongili, meaning the round one. The Minoan civilization flourished here in those ancient days. They built a sophisticated city near what is now Akrotiri, on the southern part of the island. These peaceful people were traders and artists. They created beautiful frescoes of dolphins and flowers, spring landscapes and sailing ships. Their lives moved with the gentle rhythm of the seasons and the sea. Then, around 1600 BCE, the volcano that formed this island stirred from its long sleep. But don't worry about dramatic eruptions tonight. That story has long since passed into the realm of peaceful history. What remains is the stunning caldera, now filled with the most tranquil waters. The eruption created this unique crescent shape, leaving behind cliffs that rise like ancient amphitheater seats. You pause beside a small museum sign that tells part of this story. The volcanic ash that covered the island preserved the ancient city of Akrotiri like a gentle blanket, protecting frescoes and pottery, everyday objects that speak of peaceful daily life. Archaeologists work there still, slowly and carefully uncovering the past. With soft brushes and infinite patience, the island remained uninhabited for centuries after the eruption. Nature slowly reclaimed it, covering the volcanic soil with wild grasses and herbs. Then, gradually, people returned. First the Phoenicians, then the Dorians, who named it Thera after their leader. Each civilization added its own quiet layer to the island's story. During the Byzantine period, Christianity came to Santorini. This is when many of the beautiful churches were first built. Those blue domes you see scattered across the landscape, they're not just decorative. The blue represents the sky, the dwelling place of God in Orthodox tradition, while the white represents purity and faith. Together, they create a visual prayer for protection and peace. The Venetians arrived in the 13th century, bringing their own architectural influences. They built castles on the high points of the island, not for war, but as watchtowers to protect against pirates. These castles, called castelia, became the hearts of 5 settlements. Their remains still crown certain hilltops, peaceful ruins where wildflowers grow. You come across an old marble fountain, dry now but still beautiful. These fountains were gathering places where women would collect water and share the gentle gossip of village life. The marble is worn smooth by centuries of water and hands. If you listen carefully, you can almost hear the echoes of their quiet conversations. The Ottoman period brought its own peaceful influences. The island was largely left to govern itself, developing its unique culture in relative tranquility. The local wine trade flourished. Santorini's volcanic soil produces grapes with a distinctive mineral quality. The vines are trained into low basket shapes called coulura to protect them from the wind. They look like natural sculptures scattered across the landscape. In the 19th century, Santorini's maritime trade reached its peak. The island's sailors were known throughout the Mediterranean. Their ships carried wine and pumice stone to distant ports. The captains built beautiful mansions in Oya, which you can still see today, painted in soft ochres and roses, with elegant arches and terraces. The great earthquake of 1956 changed everything, but in the gentlest way possible for such an event. Many residents emigrated, leaving the island quieter, more peaceful. Those who stayed rebuilt with love and patience. They restored the cave houses using traditional methods, keeping the organic architecture that makes Santorini so unique. As twilight deepens, you find yourself drawn to explore the remarkable architecture that makes Santorini so distinctive. Every building here seems to have grown organically from the cliff face itself. The cave houses burrow into the volcanic rock, their interiors naturally insulated, cool in summer, warm in winter, perfect shelters carved by patient hands. You approach one of the famous blue dome churches. The Church of Panagia Plazzani sits peacefully on its small plaza. Its dome isn't actually painted but covered in a special blue plaster that weathers beautifully, developing subtle variations in shade that shift with the changing light. The cross on top catches the last rays of sun, glowing like a gentle beacon. The construction method here is ancient and wise. Volcanic pumice stone, abundant on the island, is mixed with the volcanic ash and lime. This creates a building material that's both strong and lightweight, perfect for these cliffside structures. The walls are thick, sometimes 3 feet or more, creating deep windowsills where cats love to sleep. You notice the distinctive chimneys rising from the white buildings. Each one is slightly different, some cylindrical, some square, some with decorative tops that look like crowns. These aren't just functional. They're expressions of individuality within the harmonious whole. In winter, gentle smoke rises from them, carrying the scent of olive wood. The windmills of Santorini stand like patient sentinels along the ridges. Most are no longer functional, but they remain as peaceful monuments to a simpler time. Their round stone bases and wooden vanes have weathered to a soft gray. They once ground wheat from the terraced fields below, their great stones turning slowly in the constant Aegean breeze. You wander toward one of these windmills. The door is weathered wood, painted the softest blue. Around its base, wild herbs grow: oregano, thyme, and sage. Their fragrance releases into the evening air as your footsteps brush against them. The breeze carries their scent, mixing it with the salt air. The natural features of the island are equally mesmerizing in their peaceful beauty. The caldera cliff drops dramatically, but from where you stand, it simply looks like layers of history written in stone. Each stripe tells of a different volcanic period: reds and blacks, grays and ochres, all compressed into a natural artwork. The famous red beach and black beach owe their colors to these volcanic minerals. The red comes from iron-rich lava, oxidized over millennia. The black from obsidian and basalt, ground fine by the constant caress of waves. But here in Oya, the beaches are small and peaceful, tiny coves where fishing boats rest. You discover a hidden garden terrace. Bougainvillea cascades over white walls in waterfalls of magenta and purple. The paper-thin flowers rustle softly in the breeze. Below them, jasmine releases its evening perfume, sweet and intoxicating, but never overwhelming. Just a gentle presence in the air. The terraces of Santorini are engineering marvels disguised as simple beauty. Each level is carefully designed to catch rainwater, precious on this dry island. The water is channeled into underground cisterns. These Byzantine-era water storage systems still function today, collecting winter rains for summer use. Stone steps connect the terraces, each one carved from single blocks of volcanic rock. They're worn into gentle curves by centuries of footsteps, creating natural handholds and footholds. The rhythm of climbing them becomes meditative. Step, breath, step, breath. The cultural heart of Santorini beats with a slow, steady rhythm that has remained unchanged for generations. As you continue your evening wandering, you begin to notice the subtle traditions that shape daily life here. An elderly woman emerges from her doorway to water the basil plant by her door. This isn't just gardening. It's a ritual of welcome and protection that dates back centuries. The basil, or basilikos in Greek, is considered sacred. It's said to have grown around Christ's tomb. Here in Santorini, every home keeps a pot by the door. The evening watering is a moment of quiet meditation, a connection to the earth and to tradition. The woman notices you watching and offers a sprig, its scent fresh and peppery. You pass a small cafeneio, a traditional coffee house where local men gather. They sit at simple wooden tables, playing backgammon. The click of dice and the slide of checkers creates a peaceful percussion. Their conversation is low and unhurried, punctuated by comfortable silences. This is siga siga, the Greek concept of slowly, slowly, the art of not rushing. The tradition of the evening volta, or stroll, is sacred here. As the sun sets, families emerge for their gentle walk, grandparents with grandchildren, young couples hand in hand, everyone moving at the same peaceful pace. There's no destination. The walk itself is the purpose, a time to digest, to connect, to simply be. You notice the small shrines called candilacia, tucked into walls and corners. These tiny churches, some no bigger than a mailbox, house icons and oil lamps. Their soft light flickers in the growing darkness. Each one commemorates a prayer answered or a loved one remembered. They're tended with quiet devotion. The fishing tradition remains strong in Santorini, despite the tourism. In the small port of Amudi, below Oya, fishermen still mend their nets in the ancient way. Their fingers move with practiced rhythm. Loop and knot, loop and knot. The nets are bright blue or green, spread like abstract art on the quay. You hear the sound of a lyra, a traditional 3-stringed instrument. Someone is practicing old island songs. The melody is simple but haunting. It tells of sailors and the sea, of love and longing, but all in the gentlest way. These songs, called nisiotica, are unique to the islands, passed down through families. The wine tradition of Santorini is unlike anywhere else in the world. The vines are pruned into low basket shapes to protect them from wind. In the evening light, the vineyards look like a sea of green nests. The grape harvest in late summer is still done by hand, families working together in the cool morning hours. Local cuisine follows the rhythms of the seasons. In summer, it's the famous Santorini tomatoes, small and sweet, grown in the volcanic soil. They're made into tomato keftids, gentle tomato fritters that melt in your mouth. The fava beans, unique to the island, are cooked slowly into a creamy puree, comfort food at its finest. The tradition of hospitality, philoxenia, runs deep here. It literally means love of strangers. You experience it in small ways. A taverna owner who brings you an extra small plate, a gift from the kitchen, a shopkeeper who offers you a glass of cool water without being asked. These gestures flow naturally, without expectation. Wedding traditions on the island are particularly peaceful and beautiful. The bride and groom walk through the village preceded by musicians. The whole community comes out to wish them well, throwing rice and rose petals. The church bells ring slowly and joyfully. It's a celebration that includes everyone. The tradition of afternoon rest is sacred. From 2 to 5 p.m., the island sleeps. Shops close, streets empty. Even the cats find shady spots to dream. This isn't laziness, but wisdom, respecting the heat of the day and the body's natural rhythms. The evening awakening feels like a gentle resurrection. As the evening deepens around you, Santorini reveals how profoundly the time of day transforms its character. The golden hour has arrived, that magical period when the sun hangs low on the horizon, painting everything in honey and amber. The white buildings no longer seem white, but glow with warm, peachy tones. Even the shadows are soft, purple-tinged, welcoming. This is late September on the island, the perfect season when summer's intensity has mellowed into something altogether more gentle. The crowds of high summer have dispersed, leaving the island to breathe again. The temperature has cooled to that perfect warmth, where you need neither jacket nor fan, just the soft caress of the Mediterranean evening. You notice how different flowers bloom at different times of day here. The morning glories that opened at dawn have now closed their delicate faces, while the evening primrose begins to unfold, releasing a sweet, subtle fragrance. The jasmine saves its strongest perfume for nightfall, as if it knows that's when its gift is most appreciated. The light at this hour does something magical to the caldera waters. They shift from bright azure to deep sapphire, then to an almost purple black, where the depths are greatest. The surface becomes like hammered metal, bronze and copper ripples catching the last light. It's hypnotic to watch, each wave a slightly different shade. The seasonal changes in Santorini are subtle but profound. In spring, the island explodes with wildflowers, poppies and daisies carpeting the cliff tops. Summer brings the heat and the north winds called meltemi, cooling but constant. Autumn, where we find ourselves now, offers golden light and harvest time. Winter brings dramatic skies and blessed rain. You've reached a perfect vantage point to watch the sunset. But this isn't about the spectacle. It's about the gentle transformation. The sun doesn't rush. It settles slowly toward the horizon, like someone sinking into a comfortable bed. The sky begins its color symphony, starting with pale yellow deepening to orange, then pink, then mauve. The temperature drops just slightly, enough to make you appreciate the warmth still radiating from the stone walls. This is when the island's cats emerge for their evening hunt. Though it's more of a leisurely patrol, they stretch on warm stones, their movements liquid and unhurried. The changing light transforms the architecture too. Doorways that were bright blue in daylight now appear deep indigo. The shadows in the cave houses grow mysterious, but never threatening, just inviting pools of coolness. Windows begin to glow from within as residents light their evening lamps. You can smell dinner preparations beginning, the scent of olive oil heating in pans, garlic and onions starting their slow dance, fresh fish grilling with just lemon and oregano. These aromas drift and mingle in the evening air, not overwhelming but present, like gentle suggestions of comfort. The sound landscape changes too as evening progresses. The daytime sounds of construction and traffic fade away, replaced by more ancient sounds. The evening chorus of crickets begins, a rhythmic pulse that seems to slow your heartbeat to match. Somewhere, a donkey brays, a sound unchanged for millennia. The sunset watchers have gathered at their favorite spots, but there's no pushing or jostling. Everyone finds their place naturally, like birds settling on a wire. Some sit in silence, others share quiet conversation. There's a collective holding of breath as the sun touches the horizon. But after the sun disappears, something equally beautiful happens. The afterglow, to lamparima, the Greeks call it. This is when the sky performs its most subtle magic. Colors you don't have names for appear, colors that exist only in this moment between day and night. The islands in the distance become purple silhouettes. Away from the main pathways, Santorini holds secret places that most visitors never discover. You turn down a narrow alley that seems to lead nowhere, but these apparent dead ends often open into hidden courtyards where time has stopped. Here, an ancient mulberry tree provides shade for a single bench, worn smooth by generations of evening sitters. You discover a tiny chapel tucked between two houses, so small that 4 people would fill it completely. The door is open. Inside, a single oil lamp burns before an icon darkened with age. The walls are covered with small metal offerings. Tomata, shaped like ships, eyes, hearts, each one a prayer made tangible. The silence here is profound. Following an almost invisible path, you find yourself at a forgotten viewpoint. No signs point here. No postcards feature this angle. Yet the view is perhaps more beautiful for being uncelebrated. A single olive tree frames the caldera, its twisted trunk a natural sculpture. Someone has hung a simple swing from its strongest branch. The old port of Oya, accessed by 300 steps carved into the cliff, sleeps peacefully below. Most tourists take the main path, but you found the old donkey trail, wider, gentler, with stone walls on either side where tiny succulent plants have made their homes in the cracks. The steps are polished smooth, each one slightly different. You encounter a ruined windmill that no one has restored. Its stones are slowly returning to the earth, but wildflowers have claimed it as their own. Poppies grow from its windows. Wild oregano carpets its floor. It's become something more beautiful in its decay, a collaboration between human history and nature. There's a small museum that's really just someone's private collection. The owner, an elderly man, has gathered fishing equipment, old photographs, pieces of pottery found in his garden. He's there most evenings, happy to share stories in broken English mixed with gestures. His passion needs no translation. You find a narrow passage between buildings that opens onto a tiny plaza with a single tree and a water fountain. The fountain still works, spring water traveling through ancient pipes. The water is cool and sweet. Locals still come here with bottles in the evening. They know something the bottled water buyers don't. Behind the main church, a garden grows wild, but not untended. Someone comes to water it, to deadhead the roses, but they let it find its own shape. Honeysuckle climbs over statues worn faceless by time. Cats sleep in the lavender bushes. A small pond reflects the evening sky. You discover an abandoned cave house, its door hanging open. Inside, the curved walls still show traces of paint, blue and ochre. Old furniture remains, a wooden table, chairs, even photographs on the walls, faded beyond recognition. It's not sad, but peaceful, like looking through time's gentle lens. There's a spot where 3 pathways meet, creating a natural acoustic phenomenon. Sounds from different parts of the village converge here, creating a gentle symphony of daily life. You can hear church bells from 3 different churches, none quite synchronized, creating a pleasant discord. A tiny taverna exists that only locals know, just 4 tables in a courtyard. The owner cooks whatever he bought at the market that morning. There's no menu. You simply trust. The food arrives slowly, each dish a meditation on simplicity. Tomatoes that taste of sunshine, feta that crumbles like clouds. Every stone in Santorini holds a story, whispered through generations in the quiet evening hours. The locals tell of the lost city of Atlantis. Some believe Santorini itself was Plato's inspiration. But these aren't dramatic tales of destruction. Rather, they speak of an advanced civilization that lived in harmony with nature, their wisdom sleeping now beneath the calm waters. There's a legend about the church bells of the sunken cathedral. On very still nights, fishermen say they can hear them ringing beneath the waves of the caldera, not alarming or ghostly, but gentle, like a lullaby from the deep. Scientists say it's just the sound of water moving through underwater caves, but the fishermen know better. The story of the first winemakers on the island speaks of patience and faith. When the volcanic soil seemed too harsh for anything to grow, one farmer noticed wild vines clinging to life. He tended them with love, training them low to the ground. His neighbors laughed until they tasted the wine, sweet and strong, with hints of mineral and sea. You hear about the Virgin Mary of the Sweet Kiss, Panagia Glycophalusa. Her icon in the Catholic cathedral is said to have arrived mysteriously, floating on the waves after a shipwreck. No one aboard survived except a small child who grew up to become the island's most beloved priest. His descendants still tend the church. There's a cave near the old port where lovers used to meet in secret. The acoustics are such that whispers carry perfectly from one side to the other, but nowhere else. Generations of young couples discovered this, sharing promises that only the cave walls heard. Even now, the cave seems to hold an atmosphere of gentle romance. The legend of the sleeping giant is carved into the caldera itself. If you look at the cliffs from a certain angle, you can see his profile. Nose, lips, chin, all in perfect proportion. He's said to be a titan who chose eternal sleep rather than fight the Olympic gods. His peaceful slumber protects the island. Local grandmothers tell of the Kalikansaroi, mischievous but harmless spirits that visit during the 12 days of Christmas. They're not feared but treated like naughty children. Families leave out honey cakes to keep them happy and burn olive branches to send them gently on their way. The story of Captain Manolis speaks to the island's maritime soul. He sailed away as a young man, promising to return to marry his beloved. Decades passed. She waited, watching the horizon each evening. When he finally returned, both were old, but they married anyway, proving that true love operates outside of time. There's a particular cave house where the walls are said to sing. The volcanic rock formation creates natural resonance. Musicians come here to practice, knowing their music will be transformed into something otherworldly. The sound seems to come from everywhere and nowhere, surrounding you like an embrace. The tale of the earthquake saints is one of protection and faith. Before the 1956 earthquake, every church icon on the island is said to have wept, warning the faithful. Many left the island, returning after to rebuild. The icons never wept again, having fulfilled their protective duty. An old fisherman tells of the dolphins that saved his grandfather. Lost in fog, his boat drifting toward rocks. A pod of dolphins appeared, swimming slowly ahead, leading him to safety. Every full moon, he would go to that spot, sharing his catch with the sea, a thank you that needed no words. As the evening deepens into night, you find yourself naturally drawn to the quieter, more restful parts of Oya. The energy of the village is settling, like sediment in still water. The pathways you choose now lead away from the main squares, toward peaceful corners, where the only sound is your own gentle breathing. You discover a small garden with benches carved from single pieces of marble, worn smooth and comfortable from years of evening sitters. The marble still holds warmth from the day, releasing it slowly like a gentle embrace. You sit for a moment, feeling the solid earth beneath you, the reliable ancient stone. The stars are beginning to appear. First Venus, bright and steady in the western sky. Then, one by one, the constellations emerge. Here, away from bright lights, the Milky Way reveals itself, a river of light flowing across the darkness. The Greeks called it Galaxias, the celestial river of milk. You find yourself in a small courtyard where someone has created a meditation space. Cushions are arranged on a raised platform. Prayer flags flutter almost imperceptibly in the night breeze. A small fountain bubbles quietly in the corner, its rhythm hypnotic, water over stones, eternal and peaceful. The temperature has cooled to perfection, that ideal warmth where your body neither seeks heat nor coolness, just exists in perfect equilibrium. The air is still enough that candle flames burn straight and tall. Their light creates soft pools of gold in the darkness. You pass the old library, its windows dark, but doors slightly open. Inside, books sleep on their shelves, decades of stories and wisdom resting peacefully. The smell of old paper and leather bindings drifts out, mixed with lavender sachets someone has placed to keep insects away. A cat appears and walks beside you for a while, its footsteps silent, its presence companionable but undemanding. It knows all the secret paths, the shortcuts and quiet spots. Following it, you find a tiny plaza with a single bench facing the caldera. The cat curls up beside you, purring softly. The sounds of the village are becoming more distant, more dreamlike. A door closes somewhere. Footsteps echo and fade. Someone plays a guitar, just a few gentle chords repeating. The church bells have stopped, leaving a peaceful silence that feels like a blessing. You find yourself at the edge of the village, where civilization meets the wild landscape. Here, the only lights are stars and the distant glow of other islands. The caldera stretches out before you, vast and peaceful, its waters now black silk scattered with starlight. The breeze has stilled completely. The air is motionless, holding the day's warmth like a memory. Every sound carries perfectly in this stillness. The distant bark of a dog, the whisper of waves far below, your own heartbeat, slow and steady. You discover a small chapel with its door open to the night. Inside, candles burn before icons, their light flickering gently, creating moving shadows that seem alive but not disturbing, just present, like breathing. The silence here is different, fuller, containing centuries of prayers and peace. As you continue your peaceful exploration of Santorini, you find yourself drawn toward the interior of the island, where ancient vineyards stretch across the volcanic landscape like a patchwork quilt of green circles. These are not ordinary vineyards. They're living sculptures, each vine trained into a low basket shape called kulura, a technique found nowhere else on Earth. The evening light transforms these vine baskets into something magical. Each one casts a circular shadow, creating patterns across the volcanic soil that look like nature's own mandala garden. You walk slowly between the rows, your footsteps soft on the pumice-rich earth. The ground here is different. It crunches gently beneath your feet, like walking on crushed velvet. These vines are ancient, some over 300 years old. They've never been grafted because the volcanic soil protects them from phylloxera, the pest that destroyed most of Europe's vineyards in the 19th century. These are the original vines, their DNA unchanged since Byzantine times. Their roots reach deep, some say 30 meters or more. Searching for precious water in the volcanic rock, you notice how the vines are pruned. It's an art form passed from grandfather to grandson, each cut made with intention and wisdom. The old farmers say the vines must be shaped like a crown, low to protect from wind, open in the center to collect the morning dew. Every drop of moisture is precious here, where rain falls only in winter. The grape varieties have beautiful names that roll off the tongue like poetry. Assyrtiko, the noble white grape that tastes of citrus and sea minerals. Aetheri, ancient and aromatic. Idani, delicate as morning mist. Mavrodragano, the rare red grape that nearly went extinct, saved by a single farmer who believed in its potential. You discover an old wine cave, or canava, carved deep into the cliff. The entrance is an arched doorway of volcanic stone, worn smooth by generations of winemakers passing through. Inside, the temperature drops immediately. The volcanic rock maintains a constant coolness, perfect for aging wine. The walls are black and porous, absorbing excess humidity. The cave stretches back into darkness. Wooden barrels line the walls, some so old their wood has turned nearly black. The smell here is intoxicating in the gentlest way. Oak and wine, earth and thyme. It's the scent of patience, of slow transformation. You can hear the wine breathing in the barrels, expanding and contracting with invisible tides. Candles and iron holders provide the only light. Their flames barely flicker in the still air. The shadows they cast are soft, moving gently like underwater plants. Everything here moves slowly. Even time itself seems to pause, respectful of the ancient process happening in the darkness. You learn about the harvest traditions, how families still gather in late August when the grapes reach perfect ripeness. The picking starts before dawn when the grapes are cool. Everyone works together, grandparents and children, neighbors helping neighbors. The grapes are placed gently in small baskets to prevent crushing. The old pressing method is still demonstrated in some wineries. Feet crushing grapes in stone basins called patideria. It's not violent, but rhythmic, almost like a dance. The grape juice that flows is called must, sweet and cloudy, the beginning of transformation. Some say wine made this way tastes different, fuller, more alive. In the corner of the cave you find old winemaking tools. A wooden press from the 1800s, its screws worn smooth. Clay amphorae that held wine before barrels were common. Glass demijohns covered in woven baskets. Each tool tells a story of patience and craft, of making something beautiful from simple ingredients. The winemaker's calendar follows the moon, racking when the moon wanes, bottling when it's full. They say the wine knows, responding to lunar pulls just like the tides. It's not superstition, but ancient wisdom, confirmed now by modern science. The moon affects the wine's clarity, its stability. You taste a wine that's been aging for decades. It's not about the alcohol, but about the story in the glass. You can taste the volcanic soil, the sea breeze, the sun that shone that particular summer. It's liquid memory, connecting you to a specific moment in time, a specific patch of earth. The wine caves connect to each other through narrow passages, creating a labyrinth beneath the village. In the past, these connections allowed winemakers to share resources, to help each other during difficult harvests. The passages are cool and quiet, lit only by occasional candles. You could wander here for hours and never see the same corner twice. Some caves have natural springs, water filtering through volcanic rock for centuries, emerging crystal clear and mineral rich. The winemakers use this water for everything: cleaning barrels, diluting wine, even drinking. They say it has properties: healing, calming, though they can't explain exactly what. You find inscriptions on the walls, dates and initials carved by long-gone winemakers. 1847, good harvest. 1923, the vine survived. 1956, we begin again. each mark a moment when someone paused in their work to record something significant. Their presence still lingers here. The tradition of name day wines continues. When a child is born, wine is set aside to age until their wedding day. These bottles rest in the deepest parts of the caves, covered in dust and spider webs, waiting for their moment. Some have been waiting 50 years or more, patient as the stones around them, below the dramatic cliffs of Oya, reached by ancient stone steps that switch back down the caldera wall, lie the hidden fishing harbors that most visitors never explore. A moody bay sleeps peacefully at the base of the cliff, a tiny collection of boathouses and tavernas painted in faded blues and whites, their colors softened by salt air and time. The descent is meditative, each step carved from the living rock centuries ago, worn into comfortable curves by countless feet. You count them as you descend. 100, 200. Your hand trails along the cliff wall, feeling the layers of volcanic history. Some sections are rough pumice, others smooth obsidian, black glass formed in ancient fires. The donkeys that once carried goods up and down these steps have worn parallel tracks in the stone. Their patient plodding over generations has polished certain spots to a mirror shine. Even now, a few donkeys still make the journey, their bells tinkling softly, their pace unhurried and sure. As you descend, the sounds of the sea grow stronger, the gentle lapping of waves against volcanic rocks, the creak of boats pulling against their moorings, the splash of a diving seabird. These sounds echo off the cliff walls, creating a natural amphitheater of peaceful ocean music. The harbor itself is impossibly small, perhaps 20 boats bobbing in the protected water. Their painted names tell stories. Agios Nikolaos, for the patron saint of sailors. Astaraki, meaning little star. Thalassa, simply meaning sea. Each boat has eyes painted on its prow, an ancient tradition to help the vessel see its way. The fishermen are preparing for the night fishing. Their movements are slow and methodical, checking nets for tears, coiling ropes in perfect spirals, filling lamps with oil. They've done this thousands of times. Their hands know the work without thought. It's meditation in motion. You notice the cats of the harbor, different from the village cats above. These are working cats, fish-fed and salt-weathered. They wait patiently by the boats, knowing that soon there will be sardines. Their patience is absolute. They've learned the rhythms of the harbor. The boathouses are carved directly into the cliff base. Their doors are weathered wood, painted in whatever color was available, faded now to pastels. Inside, you glimpse tangles of nets, floats like giant beads, coils of rope thick as your arm. The smell is of tar and salt, old wood and the sea. An elderly fisherman sits mending his net. His fingers move without him watching, muscle memory from 70 years of the same motion. He hums quietly, an old song about the sea. The net spreads around him like a green web, each knot a small prayer for full nets and safe return. The water in the harbor is so clear, you can see the bottom. Volcanic rocks covered in sea urchins and anemones. Small fish dart between them, silver flashes in the fading light. Occasionally, an octopus moves across the seafloor, its motion hypnotic, flowing like liquid thought. There's a tiny church at the harbor's edge, Agios Nikolaos, barely bigger than a fishing boat. Inside, model ships hang from the ceiling, offerings from sailors who survived the storms. The walls are covered with photos of boats and crews, some so old they're just shadows and suggestions. You learn about the psaras, the traditional fishing boats of Santorini. Their design hasn't changed in centuries. High prow to cut through waves, wide beam for stability, painted in specific colors that mean something only to fishermen. Blue for the sea's protection, white for good fortune, red for the blood of Christ. The fishing here follows the seasons and the moon. Spring brings the small red mullet, summer the swordfish passing through, autumn the squid gathering in the deep channels, winter the grouper hiding in underwater caves. Each requires different techniques, different prayers. At the far end of the harbor, accessible only by boat or precarious path along the rocks, is a tiny beach of red and black pebbles. The volcanic stones have been polished perfectly round by centuries of waves. They're warm from the day's sun, clicking together musically as waves wash over them. The sunset from the harbor is different than from above. Here, you watch the light climb the cliff face, turning it gold, then orange, then pink. The white buildings at the top glow like lanterns. You understand why sailors returning home would see this as heaven's gate. A fisherman prepares his boat for night fishing, checking the lamp that will attract the fish. These lights haven't changed much, still using the same principle as ancient times. Light attracts plankton. Plankton attracts small fish. Small fish attract bigger fish. The circle of life made visible. The tradition of kamakia continues here. Spearfishing from the rocks. Young men stand motionless in the shallows, spears poised, waiting for the perfect moment. It requires infinite patience, becoming one with the rocks, invisible to the fish. Sometimes they stand for hours, catching nothing, content in the trying. You discover the old ice house. Before refrigeration, ice was brought by ship and stored in caves. The fishermen would pack their catch in ice and seaweed for the journey to Athens. The ice house is empty now, but its walls still feel cooler, as if they remember their purpose. The harbor at night is magical. Fishing boats head out with their lights creating paths of gold on the black water. Their engines putt-putt peacefully, a sound unchanged for generations. Soon, they're just lights in the distance, stars that move across the water. The tavernas here are different from those above, simpler, more honest. The chairs are whatever was available, painted and repainted so many times the paint is thick as tree bark. The tables wobble on the uneven ground. The menus are whatever was caught today, grilled with lemon and oregano. Nothing more needed. And now, dear traveler, as the night fully embraces Santorini, you find yourself in the most peaceful part of your journey. The village of Oya has settled into its deepest rest. Only the gentlest sounds remain. The whisper of breeze through bougainvillea, the distant murmur of waves caressing the shore far below. You found the perfect spot to rest, a quiet terrace with a comfortable lounger, cushions soft as clouds. The marble floor beneath still radiates the faintest warmth from the day, like the earth's gentle heartbeat, slowly, steadily, peacefully releasing the sun's gift. Above you, the sky has become a tapestry of stars, more stars than you've ever seen. They don't twinkle harshly, but pulse gently, like distant lighthouses, guiding dreams across the cosmic sea. The constellation of Orion stands guard, his belt 3 perfect diamonds, watching over your rest. The white buildings around you have become soft shapes in the darkness, their edges blurred, dreamlike. They seem to breathe with you, expanding and contracting, in and out, in the rhythm of sleep. Everything is settling, becoming still. The scent of night-blooming jasmine drifts past, so subtle you barely notice. It's just there, part of the air you breathe, sweet and calming, mixing with the salt of the sea, the herbs on the hillside, creating a perfume that exists nowhere else, only here, only now. Your breathing has already begun to slow, matching the rhythm of this ancient place. In and out, like the tide, like the wind through the windmills, like the gentle pulse of life itself. There's nothing you need to do, nowhere you need to be. Just rest, just breathe. The marble beneath you is solid, unchanging. It's been here for centuries, and will be here for centuries more. You can trust it, let go into it, feel how it supports you completely, reliably, eternally. You're held by the earth itself. Somewhere in the distance, a boat's horn sounds, so faint it might be imagination. It's not jarring, just a gentle reminder that the world continues its slow dance while you rest. Ships passing in the night, following ancient routes across wine-dark seas. The temperature is perfect, neither warm nor cool. Your body has found its ideal state, every muscle relaxed, every breath easy. The soft cushions beneath you feel like clouds, supporting you, cradling you, inviting you deeper into rest. The stars above blur slightly, becoming a soft canopy of light. They're not sharp points anymore, but gentle glows, like candles seen through frosted glass, watching over you, protecting your sleep, ancient guardians of the night. You can feel yourself drifting now, like a boat on calm water. No anchor needed, just floating, peacefully, safely. The boundaries between you and the night air are dissolving. You're becoming part of the evening, part of the island, part of the timeless rhythm. The last sounds fade away. Even the crickets have quieted. The world is hushed, waiting, peaceful. Only your heartbeat remains, slow, steady, reliable, and even that is fading, becoming part of the larger rhythm, the pulse of the island, the breath of the sea. Your thoughts are like clouds now, drifting past without catching, soft, formless, peaceful. They don't need your attention. Let them pass, like ships on the horizon, there and then gone, leaving only calm waters. The white walls around you glow faintly in the starlight, protective, womb-like. You're held in Santorini's gentle embrace, safe, warm, loved. The island cradles you like the ancient mother she is, rocking you gently, gently into deepest sleep. Everything is soft now, soft light, soft air, soft sounds that are barely sounds at all, just the whisper of existence, the gentle hum of being. You're floating, drifting, sinking into warmth and darkness and peace. The journey continues in your dreams now, through moonlit pathways, over sleeping waters, past dreaming churches with their blue domes reflecting starlight. But you don't need to walk anymore. You're carried now, floating, held by invisible hands, gentle hands, loving hands. Rest now, deep and peaceful. Let Santorini hold you through the night. The island keeps watch. The stars keep watch. The ancient stones keep watch. You're safe. You're held. You're home. Sleep now. sleep deeply, sleep peacefully, carried on waves of starlight and whispered Greek lullabies, floating in the warm Aegean night, wrapped in the soft darkness, held in perfect peace. Breathe and rest, breathe and rest, slower, deeper, quieter, until breath becomes dream, and dream becomes the deepest, most peaceful sleep. The white villages dream with you, the blue domes dream with you, the eternal sea dreams with you, all of Santorini dreams with you now, in perfect, endless peace. Sleep, sleep, sleep. Welcome, peaceful wanderer, to another gentle journey with the sleeping wanderer. Tonight we're traveling together to the serene fishing village of Reine in Norway's Lofoten Islands, where time moves slowly and every breath brings deeper calm. There's no rush, no agenda, just a peaceful exploration of one of the world's most tranquil destinations that will carry you gently toward rest. Before we begin our restful adventure together, consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel, but only if you truly enjoy these sleepy travels. And drop a comment below telling me which magical destination you want us to visit next. As you settle in tonight, allow yourself to sink deeper into comfort. Perhaps you're already tucked beneath warm blankets, your head resting softly on your pillow. The day's concerns are drifting away now, replaced by the anticipation of our peaceful journey to the far north of Norway, to a place where the midnight sun bathes everything in golden light during summer, and the northern lights dance across winter skies. Rain sits peacefully in the Lofoten archipelago, far above the Arctic Circle. This tiny fishing village, home to just over 300 souls, has been called the most beautiful village in all of Norway. And as we explore it together tonight, you'll understand why. The village rests at the edge of the Norwegian Sea, surrounded by towering granite peaks that rise directly from the water like ancient guardians, protecting this peaceful haven. Imagine yourself now beginning to drift northward, leaving behind the familiar sounds of your everyday world, floating gently over forests and fields, over cities that gradually give way to wilderness. You're traveling through the soft twilight, moving peacefully toward the Arctic. The journey itself is restful, like being carried on a gentle breeze. No effort required, just allowing yourself to be transported. As we approach the Lofoten Islands, the landscape below transforms into something from a dream. Hundreds of islands and skerries dot the deep blue waters, connected by graceful bridges that curve like ribbons across the sea. The mountains here are unlike anywhere else. Sharp peaks of ancient granite, worn smooth in places by millennia of wind and weather, yet still reaching dramatically toward the sky. And there, nestled at the foot of these majestic peaks, on the island of Moskinisoya, lies our destination, Reine. The village appears like a precious jewel set against the dramatic landscape. Its famous red rohrbuer, traditional fishermen's cabins, stand on stilts over the water, their reflections creating perfect doubles in the still harbor. These iconic structures, painted in deep reds and warm ochres, have sheltered fishing families for generations. The air here is different, cleaner, crisper, carrying the faint scent of salt from the sea and the earthiness of the surrounding mountains. In this moment between day and night, the special Arctic light bathes everything in the softest glow. It's a light unlike anywhere else on Earth, gentle and ethereal, wrapping the landscape in a peaceful embrace. Tonight, as you listen to my voice, you can let go completely. There's nothing you need to do, nowhere else you need to be. Just allow yourself to be present in this moment, in this beautiful place. Your breathing is becoming slower, deeper, matching the gentle rhythm of the waves, lapping against the wooden posts of the Rorbure. You find yourself now standing on the main road that winds through Rain. The E10, also known as Kong Olav versus Ve, is the thread that connects all the Lofoten Islands. But here in Rhine, it becomes something more intimate, a gentle path that invites you to explore. Your feet make soft sounds on the asphalt, still warm from the day's sun, even though it's evening now, or perhaps morning. Time moves differently here in the Arctic. To your left, the Rhine Fjord stretches out peacefully, its waters so still they look like polished glass. The fjord is embraced by mountains on both sides. Olstinden to the north, its peak often wrapped in gentle wisps of cloud, and the dramatic wall of peaks to the south. Each mountain has its own character, its own presence, but they all share a sense of ancient calm, as if they've been watching over this village for countless generations. The red Rorbure begin just ahead, and as you approach them, you notice how they seem to float above the water. Each cabin stands on thick wooden posts, driven deep into the seabed. The wood is weathered but strong, having withstood Arctic storms and peaceful summers alike. Some of the Rorbure date back over 100 years, though they've been lovingly maintained and modernized inside, keeping their traditional exterior charm. You pause at the harbor's edge. The water below is so clear, you can see straight to the bottom, schools of small fish moving in lazy patterns, strands of kelp swaying gently with the current. The water here has an extraordinary color, deep turquoise near the shore, fading to darker blues as it deepens. It's the kind of water that seems to hold light within it, glowing softly even as evening approaches. Walking slowly along the waterfront, you pass the old cod drying racks, called Gjell in Norwegian. These wooden structures, like skeletal triangles against the sky, have been essential to life in Rainy for centuries. From February to May, they're heavy with cod, thousands of fish hanging to dry in the cold, clean Arctic air, creating what locals call Lofoten's gold. But now, in this peaceful moment, they stand empty. Architectural sculptures that speak of tradition and continuity. The village is quiet. Most visitors have retired for the evening, and the locals move about their routines with unhurried purpose. You might see a fisherman checking his boat, moving with the slow, deliberate motions of someone who knows there's no need to rush, or perhaps a cat stretching lazily on a sunny doorstep, completely at peace in its domain. As you continue your gentle exploration, you notice the details that make Rain special. Window boxes filled with Arctic flowers, hardy blooms that thrive in the long summer days. The flowers here are small but vibrant: purple saxifrage, Arctic poppies, mountain avens, each one a tiny celebration of life in this northern paradise. The buildings themselves tell stories. The old general store, Reine Handel, has served the community since the early 1900s. Its weathered wooden walls have absorbed decades of salt air and sunshine. Inside, you can imagine the generations of villagers who've gathered here, sharing news over coffee, purchasing necessities, maintaining the bonds of community. You find a bench near the water, and sit for a moment. The seat is smooth from years of use, warmed by countless visitors who've paused here to absorb the beauty. As you rest, you become aware of the subtle sounds of the village, the gentle creaking of boats against their moorings, the soft splash of water against the pier, the distant cry of a seabird, perhaps a white-tailed eagle circling high above. These sounds blend together into a natural symphony, peaceful and hypnotic. The light continues to work its magic. In summer, the sun never fully sets here. It simply makes a low circle around the horizon, painting the landscape in endless variations of gold and rose. This perpetual twilight creates a dreamlike atmosphere, where time seems to slow and stretch. In winter, the darkness is equally magical, providing the perfect canvas for the aurora borealis to paint its ethereal patterns across the sky. The history of rain flows as gently as the tides that have shaped it. This village has been home to fishermen and their families for over 1,000 years, though the name Reina itself wasn't officially adopted until the 1900s. Before that, this area was simply known as part of the Greater Moskines Parish, a collection of small settlements clinging to the edge of the sea. The story of human habitation here begins with the Vikings, those ancient seafarers who recognized the rich fishing grounds surrounding the Lofoten Islands. They came not as raiders but as fishermen, following the great cod migrations that occur each winter and spring. The cod come from the Barents Sea to spawn in the warmer waters around Lofoten, a journey they've made for millennia, and humans learned to anticipate and depend upon this annual blessing. Archaeological evidence suggests that seasonal fishing camps existed here as early as the 11th century, simple structures where men would live during the fishing season, leaving their families on the mainland. These early fishermen discovered what makes Lofoten special, the perfect combination of the warm Gulf Stream and cold Arctic waters, creating ideal conditions for cod. As you walk through the village, you're literally following in the footsteps of generations. The paths you take have been worn smooth by countless feet over countless years. Each stone, each turn in the road has witnessed the daily rhythms of life in this Arctic outpost. The Roerbur you see today evolved from those simple seasonal shelters. By the 1700s, wealthy merchants from Bergen and Trondheim had established more permanent structures. They would rent these cabins to fishermen during the Lofoten fishing season, creating a system that continued well into the 20th century. Each Roerbur would house a crew of fishermen, sometimes up to 12 men sharing the small space, sleeping in shifts as they worked around the clock during the peak season. The traditional Roerbur design is perfectly adapted to its environment, built on stilts to protect against storm surges and to provide storage space beneath. The steep roofs shed snow easily. The small windows conserve heat while still allowing light, and that distinctive red paint, made from cod liver oil mixed with red ochre, protected the wood from the harsh Arctic weather while creating the iconic appearance we see today. Life in historical Reina revolved entirely around the sea. The seasonal fishing cycle determined everything: when to work, when to rest, when to celebrate. From January to April, the village would swell with thousands of fishermen arriving for the skrei season. Skrei is the Norwegian name for the migrating Arctic cod, considered the finest quality cod in the world. The process of preserving the cod hasn't changed much over the centuries. After catching, the fish are cleaned and hung on the yell to dry. No salt is needed. The cold, dry Arctic air does all the work, creating stockfish or turfisk. This dried fish became Norway's most important export for centuries, traded across Europe and beyond. Some say it was stockfish that built Bergen's wealth, and by extension, much of Norway's prosperity. The village church, a simple wooden structure painted white, has stood as a spiritual anchor for the community. Though the current building dates from more recent times, there has been a place of worship here for centuries. Fishermen would gather for prayers before heading out to sea, and families would give thanks for safe returns. The church bell, which still rings softly across the water, has marked the rhythms of village life, calling people to worship, announcing important events, mourning losses at sea. The 20th century brought gradual changes to rain. Modern fishing vessels replaced the traditional open boats, though you can still see examples of the old Nordland boats pulled up on shore, their elegant lines speaking to centuries of refined design. The arrival of the road in the 1960s connected Rhine to the rest of Lofoten, ending its isolation, but somehow not diminishing its peaceful character. World War II touched even this remote corner of the world. German forces occupied Norway, including Lofoten. But the stories from this time are not of great battles, but of quiet resistance, of fishermen who helped refugees escape to England, of communities that maintained their dignity and traditions despite occupation. The mountains around Rhine still hold remnants of wartime installations, now peaceful ruins slowly being reclaimed by nature. In recent decades, Rhine has discovered a new chapter in its story. Artists and photographers began arriving, drawn by the extraordinary light and dramatic landscape. The village became known worldwide as one of the most beautiful places on Earth, yet it has managed to maintain its authentic character. The fishing industry continues, smaller now but still vital, and many rohrbuer have been converted to accommodate visitors, allowing others to experience the peace that has always existed here. As you continue your peaceful wandering through Rhine, the architectural harmony between human construction and natural landscape becomes ever more apparent. Every structure seems to have grown from the land itself, respecting and reflecting the dramatic geography that surrounds it. The rohrbuer deserve our deeper attention. These structures are masterpieces of functional architecture. Each one is slightly different, yet they all share common elements that have proven themselves over generations. The foundations, those sturdy posts driven into the seabed or rocky shore, are typically made from pressure-treated pine, though historically they were often larch, chosen for its natural resistance to water. Moving your gaze upward, you notice how the walls lean slightly inward. This isn't age or settling, it's intentional design, helping the structures withstand the fierce Arctic storms that occasionally sweep through. The overlapping wooden planks of the walls, called weatherboarding, are arranged to shed water efficiently, each board protecting the one below. The roofs fascinate with their simplicity and effectiveness, covered in slate or modern materials that mimic traditional styles. They're steep enough to prevent snow accumulation, but not so steep as to catch the wind. The ridge lines often feature small decorative elements, carved dragon heads or simple flourishes, echoes of Viking architectural traditions. Inside a traditional rohrbu, which you can imagine as you pass by, the space is surprisingly cozy. The main room serves multiple purposes: kitchen, dining area, and social space. A wood-burning stove provides warmth, its chimney pipe running up through the sleeping loft above. The walls are typically painted in light colors to maximize the precious daylight, whites and pale blues that seem to hold and amplify the Arctic light. But it's the natural architecture surrounding Reyne that truly takes your breath away, if you let it. The mountains here are part of the Lofoten Wall, a 160-kilometer chain of peaks that rise directly from the sea. These mountains are ancient, formed over 3 billion years ago, making them among the oldest rocks on Earth. Their granite faces have been polished by ice ages, carved by glaciers, sculpted by wind and water into forms of extraordinary beauty. Reinbringen, the mountain that looms directly above the village, rises 448 meters from sea level. Its face is a canvas that changes throughout the day, catching the first light of dawn, glowing golden at midday, turning purple and pink in the evening light. The mountain has moods, sometimes shrouded in mist, sometimes crystal clear, always magnificent. The water features around Reyne are equally mesmerizing. The Reinefjorden cuts deep into the land, creating a protected harbor that has sheltered boats for centuries. The fjord's waters are remarkably clear, filtered by the Arctic currents. You can often see straight to the bottom, even in deeper areas, watching kelp forests sway in the current. Schools of fish moving like silver clouds beneath the surface. Small streams cascade down from the mountains, especially during the spring melt. These waterfalls, some permanent, others seasonal, create a gentle soundtrack to village life. Their water is pure, filtered through ancient rock, cold and sweet to taste. The streams have carved small ravines and pools, creating micro-ecosystems where Arctic plants thrive. The beaches around Reyne are unexpected treasures, not the tropical paradises of warmer latitudes, but something more subtle and perhaps more beautiful. The sand is white and fine, made from crushed shells and weathered granite. The water is turquoise, an impossible color for such northern latitudes. Yet there it is, created by the reflection of light off the white sand bottom. The plant life here has adapted to extreme conditions, creating its own architectural forms. Dwarf birch and willow grow in protected spots, their branches sculpted by wind into natural bonsai. In summer, the ground is carpeted with tiny flowers, each one a perfect miniature. Cloudberries, crowberries, and lingonberries providing splashes of color. The interplay of light and architecture, both natural and human-made, creates an ever-changing gallery of visual poetry. Shadows move slowly across building faces. Reflections in the still water double every image, creating a world above and below. Morning mist softens all edges, making the village appear to float between sea and sky. Even the modern additions to Reyne show respect for this architectural heritage. New buildings follow traditional forms, using modern materials but maintaining the scale and character of the old. Solar panels and satellite dishes are discreetly placed, necessary connections to the modern world that don't disturb the visual harmony. The docks and piers extend the village into the sea. These wooden fingers reaching into the fjord are constantly renewed, planks replaced as needed, but the overall structure remains unchanged. Boats of all sizes tie up here, from small dinghies to larger fishing vessels, each one part of the working architecture of the village. The culture of Reyne flows as gently and persistently as the tides that have shaped it for generations. Here, in this small Arctic village, traditions aren't preserved in museums. They're lived daily, woven into the fabric of everyday existence. The rhythm of life here still follows the ancient patterns, though softened by modern conveniences. Fishermen still rise before dawn, not because they must, but because the early morning hours offer the calmest seas, the best fishing. You might see them at the harbor, preparing their lines, checking weather reports on smartphones while using knowledge passed down through generations to read the sky. The language spoken here carries its own music. The local dialect of Norwegian has been influenced by centuries of isolation and the particular needs of a fishing community. There are dozens of words for different types of ice, various sea conditions, subtle changes in weather. Each word precisely describes something essential to survival and success in this environment. Coffee culture in Reyne is particularly special. In the Nordic tradition, coffee isn't rushed, it's savored. The local custom of fika, though that's technically a Swedish word, the practice is universal across Scandinavia, means taking time to pause, to sit with others, to share a moment of peace. In Reyne, this might happen in someone's kitchen, overlooking the fjord, or in the small cafe, where locals gather to discuss the weather, the fishing, the eternal rhythms of village life. The preparation of traditional foods continues here with quiet pride. Stockfish production remains central to the local economy and culture. From February to May, the village is perfumed with the scent of drying cod, an aroma that might seem strong to outsiders but represents prosperity and tradition to locals. The fish must be hung at exactly the right time, when the temperature hovers just above freezing. Too warm and they spoil, too cold and they won't dry properly. Local cuisine reflects both limitation and abundance. The sea provides generously: cod, halibut, salmon, king crab. But vegetables have always been precious. Growing seasons are short. Gardens must be protected from wind and maximized for sun. Root vegetables store well through the long winters. Potatoes, turnips, carrots, prepared simply but with care. The tradition of the Rorbu feast continues, though now often for visitors rather than fishermen. These meals celebrate the bounty of the sea. Fresh cod prepared multiple ways. Fish soup rich with cream and root vegetables. Cloudberry desserts that capture the essence of the Arctic summer in each golden berry. The meals are served family style, encouraging conversation, building community. Handicrafts remain important here. During the long winter evenings, when darkness wraps the village for months, hands stay busy. Knitting is almost universal. The traditional Norwegian patterns passed down through families. Each region has its own designs, and Lofoten patterns often incorporate motifs from the sea: waves, fish, anchors, worked into wool sweaters that provide warmth and identity. Boat building, while less common now, remains a living tradition. A few craftsmen still build boats by hand, using techniques refined over centuries. The Nordland boat, with its distinctive high bow and stern, evolved specifically for these waters. Each curve, each angle has purpose, allowing the boat to handle both calm fjords and open ocean. Music and storytelling provide the soundtrack to village life. Traditional songs tell of great fishing expeditions, lost loves, the beauty and danger of the sea. These aren't performed on stages but shared in homes, at gatherings, wherever people come together. The stories blend history and mythology, tales of the Draugen, sea spirits, and the Huldra, forest spirits, mixed with accounts of real storms survived, real fortunes made and lost. The concept of Friluftsliv, literally free air life, is central to the culture here. This isn't just about being outdoors. It's a philosophy that sees nature as essential to well-being. Children learn to read weather patterns before they can read books. They know which berries are safe to eat, how to find shelter, how to respect the power of nature while finding joy in it. Community cooperation remains strong. When someone needs help, whether repairing a roof or bringing in a catch, neighbors appear. This isn't organized or formal. It's simply understood. The harsh environment has always demanded mutual support, and this has created bonds that modern life hasn't broken. The celebration of seasonal festivals maintains connection to ancient rhythms. Midsummer, though the sun never sets, is still marked with bonfires, symbolic lights in the eternal day. Christmas brings particular warmth, lights in every window, pushing back the polar night, creating a sense of hygge that wraps the village in comfort. Environmental consciousness here isn't a modern movement, but an ancient understanding. Fishermen have always known that taking too much destroys tomorrow's harvest. The mountains and sea are treated with respect, born from dependence. Sustainability isn't a concept to be learned. It's a way of life inherited. The light in rainy is a living thing, breathing, shifting, painting the landscape in colors that exist nowhere else. As you stand in the village at this peaceful moment, you're witnessing one of nature's most subtle and beautiful performances. The Arctic light show that never truly ends, only transforms. In the height of summer, from late May through July, the midnight sun reigns supreme. The sun traces a complete circle around the horizon, never quite setting, creating a perpetual golden hour that photographers dream of. But it's not harsh or overwhelming. Instead, it's gentle, diffused, as if filtered through the finest silk. This endless day creates a dreamlike quality where time becomes fluid, irrelevant. You might find yourself walking at what would be midnight elsewhere, but here, the light is soft and golden. The village bathed in a glow that makes everything appear to be lit from within. The red roerbur seemed to pulse with warmth. The mountain faces turn rose and gold. The water becomes liquid metal, silver and copper and gold all at once. As August arrives, the sun begins to dip below the horizon again, just barely at first. A brief kiss of darkness that grows longer each night. These are the white nights, neither fully day nor fully night. The twilight lasts for hours, the sky painted in pastels, pink and purple and the palest blue. Stars begin to appear, tentatively at first. Then, with growing confidence, September brings the autumn equinox, and with it, a perfect balance, day and night in harmony. The light becomes more dramatic, lower sun angles creating longer shadows, more saturated colors. The mountains seem to glow in the afternoon light, and the first hints of snow on the peaks catch the sun like diamonds. Then comes the polar night. From December through January, the sun doesn't rise above the horizon, but this isn't the pitch darkness you might imagine. Instead, it's a world painted in blues. The polar twilight creates an ethereal atmosphere. The sky turns deep blue, navy, indigo, with hints of purple and green. The snow reflects what little light there is, creating a luminous landscape, and then the aurora borealis arrives. The northern lights dance across the polar night sky, green curtains rippling, sometimes touched with pink and purple. They move slowly, hypnotically, like silk scarves floating in a gentle breeze. The lights reflect off the snow, off the water, creating a world that seems to glow from every surface. Winter mornings, even without sunrise, have their own magic. The blue hour extends for hours, that special time when the world is neither dark nor light. Everything is visible, but softened, dreamlike. The village lights twinkle like stars brought to earth, their warm yellow glow contrasting beautifully with the blue snow. As February arrives, the sun begins its return. First, just a glow on the horizon, then the briefest appearance, a few minutes of direct sunlight that grows longer each day. The return of the sun is celebrated quietly but deeply. Faces turn toward the light, soaking in the warmth after months of darkness. Spring and rain is subtle but powerful. The light returns dramatically, each day noticeably longer than the last. By April, the days are already long, the sun climbing higher. The snow begins to melt, creating thousands of tiny waterfalls cascading down the mountain faces. The sound of running water returns, a gentle music that signals renewal. The morning mist is a year-round phenomenon here, but each season gives it different character. Summer mist is light, playful, burning off quickly as the eternal sun warms the air. Autumn mist is thicker, mysterious, clinging to the water, wrapping the rohrbuer in soft focus. Winter mist is rare but magical, ice crystals in the air creating halos around every light source. The tides add their own temporal rhythm. High tide brings the water almost to the doors of some rohrbuer, the sea claiming its territory. Low tide reveals the architecture of the shore, rocks covered in seaweed, tidal pools teeming with life. The sound of the tides is constant, a breathing in and out that marks time more accurately than any clock. Different times of day bring different moods to the village. Early morning is hushed, expectant. The first fishermen moving quietly to their boats, disturbing nothing. Midday brings gentle activity, people going about their business with unhurried purpose. Evening is for gathering, lights appearing in windows, the smell of cooking drifting on the air. The weather systems that pass through create their own temporal dramas. A storm approaching from the sea transforms the atmosphere, the pressure dropping, the light becoming strange and wonderful. During the storm, the village hunkers down, secure in structures built to withstand nature's power. Afterwards, the clarity is breathtaking, every detail sharp, the air washed clean. Even the wildlife follows temporal patterns that add to the atmosphere. Eagles circle in the afternoon thermals. Seabirds are most active in the morning and evening. The cod arrive in winter, the whales in summer. Each season brings its own cast of characters to the waters around rain. Away from the main paths through rain, there exist pockets of perfect tranquility, secret places known to locals and discovered slowly by those who take time to wander. These hidden gems aren't marked on maps or mentioned in guidebooks. They're gifts waiting for the patient explorer. Behind the last row of rohrbuer, a narrow path winds up the hillside, barely visible unless you know where to look. Following it, your footsteps soft on the mossy ground, you discover a small plateau. Here, someone has placed a simple wooden bench. weathered silver by years of Arctic weather. From this spot, the entire village spreads below you, miniature and perfect, like a model train set come to life. The old cemetery, if you can call it that, just a handful of graves surrounded by a low stone wall, sits on a small rise overlooking the fjord. The headstones are simple, names and dates worn soft by time. Some are decorated with shells and smooth stones, offerings from those who remember. The grass grows wild here, dotted with tiny Arctic flowers. This is a place of profound peace, where the boundary between earth and sky seems especially thin. There's a particular rock formation at the water's edge, reached by scrambling over smooth boulders when the tide is low, where nature has carved a perfect seat. The rock curves to support your back, and your feet can dangle just above the water. Seabirds nest in the cliffs above, their gentle calls echoing off the stone. The water here is so clear, you can watch crabs scuttling across the bottom, small fish darting between strands of kelp. An abandoned boathouse stands at the far end of the village, its doors hanging open, inviting peaceful exploration. Inside, old nets hang from the rafters, tools rust slowly on shelves, everything covered in a fine layer of salt and thyme. Light filters through gaps in the walls, creating patterns that shift with the movement of the sun. The sound of water lapping beneath the floorboards creates a rhythm that could lull anyone to sleep. Following the stream that runs through the village upstream, you find a series of small pools, each one a perfect mirror reflecting the sky. The water is ice cold, pure, filtered through miles of ancient rock. Arctic char sometimes rest in these pools, their shadows dark against the sandy bottom. Moss grows thick on the rocks, creating cushions of emerald green. There's a meadow, hidden behind a stand of dwarf birch, where the grass grows tall and soft. In summer, it's filled with wild flowers, creating a natural garden that no human hand could improve. The meadow is sheltered from wind, creating a microclimate where you can lie in the grass and feel actual warmth from the Arctic sun. Butterflies dance here, unlikely but real, their presence seeming miraculous at this latitude. An old fish processing building, now empty, has windows that frame perfect views of the mountains. Each window is a painting, the composition exactly right. Someone has left an old chair by one window, placed perfectly to catch the afternoon light. You could sit here for hours, watching the light change on the peaks, the shadows moving like slow clock hands across the rock faces. Down by the water, partially hidden by larger rocks, tide pools create miniature worlds. Each pool is an aquarium, filled with anemones that close at your shadow, tiny fish that dart between fronds of seaweed, hermit crabs carrying their homes. The pools are never the same twice, each tide bringing new residents, rearranging the seaweed gardens. A forgotten garden behind one of the older houses has gone wonderfully wild. The original plantings, hardy roses and Arctic willows, have spread and naturalized, creating a tangle of green punctuated by blooms. A bench nearly swallowed by vegetation offers a hidden retreat. The garden hums with life, bees visiting the flowers, birds nesting in the shrubs. There's a particular time, just after rain, when the village reveals its secrets. Water droplets catch the light like diamonds. Spider webs become visible, stretched between posts and railings. Perfect geometric art. The smell of wet wood and earth rises, mixing with the salt air, creating a perfume unique to this place. An old wooden pier, no longer used, extends into a quiet corner of the harbor. The planks are soft with age, some missing, creating gaps through which you can see the water below. At the end, someone has carved initials and a date, 1947, a love declared, a moment preserved. Sitting here, feet hanging over the edge, the village noise fades, replaced by the intimate sounds of water against wood. The space beneath the Rohrbuer at low tide reveals a hidden world. Barnacles and mussels cling to the posts. Seaweed hangs like curtains, creating secret rooms. Children have always known these spaces, building imaginary worlds in the shadows, leaving treasures, shells and colored glass, for others to find. A small grove of rowan trees, surprising at this latitude, grows in a protected hollow. In autumn, their berries glow red against the green, attracting birds that fill the grove with song. The trees are old, gnarled, shaped by wind into forms that seem almost animate. Their roots create natural seats, places to rest and listen to the whisper of leaves. The stories of rain drift through the village like morning mist, some ancient, some recent, all carrying the essence of this place where reality and mystery intertwine. These tales are told in quiet voices, over coffee, by firesides, in the long twilight that wraps the village in magic. There's the story of the fisherman's light seen on foggy nights, a lantern that appears to float above the water, guiding lost boats home. Old-timers say it's the spirit of Olaf, a fisherman who died saving others during a storm a century ago. His light still watches over the harbor, a gentle guardian ensuring safe returns. Scientists might explain it as phosphorescence or reflected light, but the comfort it brings to those at sea is real regardless of its source. The mountains hold their own mysteries. Reinebringen is said to have a hidden cave where the Huldra, the beautiful forest spirit, makes her home. She's not malevolent, just shy, occasionally helping lost hikers find their way, leaving small gifts for children who are kind to nature. The cave has never been found, or perhaps those who find it choose not to tell, respecting the privacy of something beautiful and wild. In the old days, fishermen would tell of the Mariel, the sea fire that sometimes illuminated the water. Bioluminescence, we call it now. But knowing the science doesn't diminish the wonder. On certain summer nights, the water glows with each movement, every oar, stroke leaving a trail of stars, fish drawing lines of light beneath the surface. The old stories say this light appears when the sea is happy, blessing the fishermen with good fortune. There's a particular Rohrbu, painted darker red than the others, where people say time moves differently. Visitors who stay there report the most restful sleep, dreams of flying over the mountains, waking refreshed regardless of how long they've slept. The practical explanation involves its position, sheltered from wind, catching morning sun. But the feeling of peace there is tangible. The story of the grateful whale is still told, though it happened just 40 years ago. A minke whale, tangled in fishing nets, was freed by local fishermen who spent hours carefully cutting it loose. The whale swam away, but returned the next day, and the next, floating peacefully near the boats, a presence both wild and benign. For that entire season, The fishing was the best anyone could remember. Coincidence, perhaps, but the fishermen knew gratitude when they saw it. Children here grow up with tales of the Fossagrim, the water spirit who plays violin in the waterfalls. If you listen carefully to the sound of falling water, especially in the evening, you might hear music, a melody that seems almost familiar, but slips away when you try to grasp it. The Fossagrim isn't seen, only heard, and only by those who approach the water with respect. The Northern Lights have inspired countless stories. The Sami people, who have lived in these northern regions for thousands of years, say the lights are the souls of the departed, dancing across the sky. Others say they're the spirits of unmarried women, or the reflections of great schools of herring. In rain, they tell children that the lights are painting the sky, creating art for those patient enough to watch. There's a love story that locals tell about a fisherman and a woman from the south who came to paint the landscape. She arrived for a week and stayed forever. Their descendants still live in the village. Their story isn't dramatic. No great obstacles overcome. Just two people who found each other in this unlikely place, discovering that home isn't always where you're from, but where your heart finds peace. The Cod themselves are part of the mythology. The Scree are said to follow paths through the ocean that their ancestors have followed for millennia, invisible roads through the sea. Some fishermen claim they can feel when the Cod are coming, a change in the air, a particular quality of light. Science talks about pressure changes and temperature gradients, but the fisherman's knowing goes deeper than data. On the longest night of winter, when darkness seems complete, villagers have always lit candles in every window. The tradition supposedly keeps away the darkness spirits, but really, it's about community, about showing everyone that no one is alone in the dark. The lights create a constellation at sea level, a human answer to the stars. There's a bench in the village where proposals happen. No one planned it, but somehow couples end up there, perhaps drawn by the view, perhaps by something more. The bench has witnessed decades of promises, quiet moments where futures are decided. If benches could talk, but perhaps it's better they can't, keeping their secrets like the mountains keep theirs. The story of the storm of 1952 is still told, when waves higher than houses threatened to destroy the village. The Rohrbuer survived, every one of them, while newer, stronger-looking buildings were damaged. The old-timers say the Rohrbuer were protected, by what or whom they won't say, just nodding knowingly when asked. Even the silence here has stories. The particular quality of quiet that falls over the village at certain moments, usually just before weather changes, when even the birds stop singing. It's not ominous, just expectant, as if the entire landscape is taking a breath, waiting. These moments of profound stillness are remembered, treasured, impossible to capture, but unforgettable once experienced. As our journey through Reyna begins to slow, like the gentle tide retreating from the shore, we find ourselves drawn to the quietest corners of the village, those places designed by time and nature for rest and reflection. Your footsteps have become softer, your breathing deeper, as the peace of this place settles into your bones. The harbor in the evening is particularly tranquil. The fishing boats have returned, tied safely to their moorings. Their work is done, and they rest now, bobbing gently on the calm water. The rhythm of their movement is hypnotic, up and down, side to side, a cradle rocking on the sea. You could stand here forever, watching this simple motion, feeling your own internal rhythm slow to match. There's a small park, if you can call it that, just a grassy area with a few benches, where the village seems to exhale at day's end. The grass is soft beneath your feet, each blade bent by the constant breeze but resilient, springing back. The benches face different directions, each offering its own view, its own perspective on peace. Choose one, or simply lie in the grass, feeling the earth solid beneath you. The sound of the village settling for sleep is a symphony of small noises, doors closing gently, the last calls of seabirds finding their roosts, the creak of cooling wood as buildings adjust to the dropping temperature. These sounds layer upon each other, creating a lullaby unique to this place, this moment, walking now along the water's edge, where the land meets the sea in an endless conversation. The waves are smaller here, protected by the fjord. They lap rather than crash, whisper rather than shout. Each wave carries away a little tension, a little worry, leaving you lighter with each cycle. The rorbur are lighting up now, one by one, windows glowing warm yellow against the deepening blue of evening. Inside, you can imagine families gathering, meals being prepared, stories being shared. But from out here, it's just the light, warm and welcoming, like stars that have come down to earth to keep company with the village. Find yourself now at the edge of the village, where the buildings give way to nature. There's a large, flat rock here, worn smooth by centuries of weather, still warm from the day's sun. You can lie back on this natural bed, feeling its warmth seep into your muscles, releasing any remaining tension. The rock cradles you, solid and eternal. Above, the sky is performing its nightly transformation. In summer, it's the endless dance of light, colors shifting so gradually you barely notice, until suddenly you realize the golden has become rose, the rose has become lavender. In winter, it's the emergence of stars, one by one, until the entire cosmos spreads above you. Either way, the sky here is a ceiling painted by masters, constantly changing, yet eternally peaceful. The temperature is dropping now, but it's a gentle cooling, like a soft blanket being pulled up. The air becomes crisper, each breath feeling clean and pure, filling your lungs with the essence of mountain and sea. There's a sweetness to this air, a quality that exists nowhere else. You might find yourself in one of the rorbur now, perhaps your own for the night. The wooden walls creak gently, a sound like the hull of a ship, reminding you that these buildings are vessels too, carrying their inhabitants through time. The bed is simple but comfortable, the blankets thick and warm, designed for Arctic nights. Through the window, the view continues even as you rest. The mountains stand sentinel, unchanging, reassuring in their permanence. The water reflects whatever light remains, doubling the beauty, creating a world above and below that mirrors and complements. You don't need to watch, just knowing it's there is enough. The silence here is different from silence elsewhere. It's not empty but full of small sounds that have become part of the quiet. The distant splash of a fish jumping, the sigh of wind around the corners of buildings, the almost inaudible hum of the earth itself, turning, breathing, living. Your body knows it's time to rest. Every muscle has loosened, every breath has deepened. The journey through rain has been gentle but complete. You've walked its paths, learned its stories, felt its peace. Now it's time to let go, to drift, to allow sleep to come like the tide, inevitable and welcome. The village will continue its quiet existence as you rest. Fishermen will rise before dawn. The sun will paint the mountains. The tides will ebb and flow. But for now, in this moment, everything is still. Everything is peaceful. Everything is exactly as it should be. Close your eyes now, or keep them open. It doesn't matter. The boundary between waking and sleeping is soft here, permeable. You might dream of red robure, reflected in still water, of mountains touching clouds, of light that never quite decides whether to be day or night. And now, as our journey through rain comes to its natural close, like the slow turning of the tide, we find ourselves in that perfect moment between waking and sleeping, between being there and being here. The village has shared its secrets with us, whispered its stories, shown us its hidden corners and timeless beauty. The images of Reni float now in your mind, soft and dreamlike. The red roar viewer standing on their stilts, patient and enduring, waiting through all weather, all seasons. They're still there now, as you drift, painted in colors that exist only in this corner of the world. That particular shade of red that seems to glow from within, holding centuries of stories in their weathered wood. The mountains, those ancient guardians, continue their eternal watch. Rheinebringen and its companions, older than memory, older than dreams, standing firm while everything else changes. Their peaks might be touched by cloud or snow or golden light, but the mountains themselves remain solid, reassuring, permanent markers in an ever-shifting world. The water, always the water, moving but constant, breathing in and out with the tides, sometimes mirror still, reflecting the sky so perfectly you can't tell where one ends and the other begins, sometimes rippled by wind into patterns that hypnotize, patterns that repeat, yet are never quite the same. The water connects everything, embraces everything, carries everything. You can still feel the texture of that wooden bench, worn smooth by countless visitors before you. Still smell the salt air mixed with the faint scent of dried fish and wildflowers. Still hear the gentle creaking of boats against their moorings. That rhythmic sound that could lull anyone into the deepest sleep. The light of rain continues its dance, even as you rest. In your mind's eye, you see it painting the landscape. Golden, rose, purple, blue. The midnight sun making its low circle, or the northern lights rippling like silk curtains, or simply the soft glow of windows reflecting on still water. Light that seems to come from everywhere and nowhere, wrapping everything in its gentle embrace. Breathe now, deeply and slowly, matching your breath to the rhythm of the waves you remember. In and out, in and out. Each breath taking you deeper into rest, deeper into peace. There's nowhere you need to be, nothing you need to do. Just breathe and drift, drift and breathe. The people of rain continue their quiet lives. Fishermen preparing for tomorrow's journey. Families gathering around dinner tables. Children already asleep in beds that have sheltered generations. Their lives flow on, unhurried, following rhythms older than clocks, older than calendars. The village breathes with them, a living thing, a community of souls who found peace at the edge of the world. Let yourself sink deeper now, like settling into the softest bed. Every muscle releases, every thought slows. You're safe, you're comfortable, you're exactly where you need to be. The journey through Iran has brought you here, to this perfect moment of rest. The stories of the village weave through your drowsing mind, the fisherman's light still guiding boats home, the grateful whale returning kindness, the fossegrim playing his waterfall violin. These tales become part of your dreams now, mixing with your own stories, creating something new, something uniquely yours. The seasons turn in rain, as they always have, as they always will. Summer's endless light giving way to autumn's colors, winter's darkness brightened by snow and stars. Spring's return, bringing water music and new growth. The cycle continues, reliable, comforting, a promise that everything has its time, including rest. You might find yourself back on that smooth rock, by the water, still warm from the sun, or in the meadow among the wildflowers, or in a rorbu, wooden walls creaking gently like a lullaby, or simply floating, suspended between earth and sky, held by the peace of this place. The silence deepens, that special Arctic silence that's full rather than empty, contains everything while demanding nothing, wraps around you like the softest blanket, protecting, comforting, allowing you to let go completely. Rain will be there tomorrow, and the day after, and always. The village doesn't hurry, doesn't change its essential nature. It simply exists, beautifully, peacefully, eternally. A place where time moves differently, where peace isn't sought but simply is, where rest comes as naturally as breathing. Your breathing is so calm now, so deep, matching the eternal rhythm of the tides, in and out, each breath taking you deeper, each moment more peaceful than the last. The boundary between you and the peace of rain dissolves. You're part of it now, part of the mountains, the water, the endless sky. Sleep comes like the Arctic twilight, gradually, gently, inevitably. There's no moment when you cross from waking to sleeping, just a soft transition, a gradual letting go. The images of rain continue, but softer now, dreamlike, painted in the colors of sleep. Red rorbure reflected in still water, mountains touching clouds, light that dances, water that whispers, peace that goes deeper than words, deeper than thoughts, deep as the fjord, old as the mountains, endless as the Arctic sky. Rest now, completely, deeply, peacefully, held by the memory of Ren, by its timeless beauty, by its eternal calm. Tomorrow is far away. Yesterday has dissolved. There is only now, only peace, only rest. The sleeping wanderer has found the perfect place to rest, in the gentle embrace of Ren, where the mountains meet the sea, where the light never quite decides between day and night, where peace isn't just possible, but inevitable. Sleep now, dream now, rest now, in the tranquil beauty of Ren, in the Lofoten Islands, at the edge of the world, where everything is exactly, perfectly, peacefully, as it should be. Sweet dreams, peaceful wanderer, until we meet again, on another gentle journey, to another beautiful corner of our sleeping world.